Good evening. As Janet said, my name is Michael Lewis, and tonight is the first night on a long-awaited road to obscurity. If you're members of the synagogue, you'll understand. Marilyn, I'd like to just say I'm really sorry.
No shot.
It's very fitting that we're here tonight to honor Vi Sikahama with the Scott Rand Award for Community Service. My buddy Scott cared about four things. He cared about his family, he cared about Congregation Beth Tikva, he cared about sports, and he cared about his community. Scott, I had the pleasure of watching Scott and Janet raise their daughters from the very precocious little girls they were to the young women they are today. And Vi, who we are very proud to have as our neighbor, as Janet said, cares exactly about the same areas of his life. We've watched with pleasure as Vi and Kayla have raised four wonderful children who were adorable youngsters who were playing out on the trampoline in the backyard and now have grown into mature, terrific adults. Still used to worry during those lightning storms. Scott cared deeply about Congregation Beth Tikva and cared about its continuity. He wanted to make sure that CBT would be here for generations to come. Vi is a man who his faith is deeply important to him, and his involvement in the Church of Latter-day Saints is something he does with great pride. At a time when many young people have turned away from religion, Vi is a terrific role model because he does not hesitate to talk about the importance of his faith and how it has made a difference in his life. It's a message we all need to remember to communicate to children. Scott was a huge sports fan, and when he heard that a football star was moving into our neighborhood, he was really excited. Except about the team that Vi used to play for. I used to have to try to warn Scott not to wear his Giants clothing to the house, at least if it was in the backyard. But Vi made that very difficult transition from being a star on the field to being undoubtedly the premier sports anchor in what is a very tough sports town. Vi's been the sports director at NBC 10 for more than 17 years. When he reports, his enthusiasm, his energy, you care about sports you really know anything about. And Vi reports on everything, the width and breadth of the topics he discusses, and he does all of it with a great deal of care and concern. And as I mentioned, Scott cared deeply about community. Scott was the driving force behind the Marlton Playground. Scott was the fundraising chair extraordinaire here at CBT. Many of you remember the story that right around the time Scott passed away, it was his idea to have a dinner honoring somebody. Rabbi, I apologize for saying this again, but Scott originally thought we would give naming rights to parts of the building as a way to raise money. He even suggested Dietz and Watson Hebrew School at Congregation Beth Tikva. We just didn't think the rabbi would buy that one. But Scott cared deeply about children, and that was why the Marlton Playground was so important to them, to make sure they had a safe and healthy environment in which to play and socialize. As you all know and have heard, Vi's commitment to community, one of the strongest points has been as a spokesman for the Wednesday's Child program at NBC 10, which is sponsored by the Freddie Mac Foundation and the National Adoption Center. The Freddie Mac Foundation finds adoptive homes for children in foster care. But Vi is much more than just the face of the program. He becomes involved with every child and develops an appreciation of each child's special qualities and interests. His care and his passion comes through in everything he does, in every part of his life. So it is my extreme pleasure to present the 2011 Scott Rand Award for Community Service to my friend and neighbor, Vi Sikahama.